Ever since the last show ended, the Ben 10 community hasn't gone inactive. On the contrary, there's a new Ben 10 fan project coming out every day. With the Fortnite collab and the new Dynamite comic coming out this year, I decided it was a good opportunity to make a video showcasing the progress behind my alien redesigns. But first, we need a Ben to base them from, which you have been watching me make on the background since the beginning of the video. Ben Tennyson, from a universe where he found the Omnitrix at 15 years old. I wanted the design to take apart from all of his prime continuity looks. His clothes mostly resemble his UAF outfit with the black shirt and the jacket. But instead of green, his jacket is white so that his shirt resembles the black stripe in his classic shirt. Since I'm gonna be drawing all 1,912 DNA samples on the Omnitrix, I wanted to set a couple of rules. Rule number 1. I'm not gonna do alternate versions of the aliens. That means not 10 years old version or 13 years old version. That's why I decided to make him 15, since it's a good middle ground. And also 1 year before Swanfire Blossom form. I'm also not doing Cannonball's ball form, Ripjaws fishtail, Accelerate's mask, you get the idea. Rule number 2. Every alien is gonna have green eyes. I want to maintain certain consistency within all these aliens, and keep it clear that they're all in fact Ben. I'm making their eyes green not because of the Omnitrix, but because Ben's eyes are green, and the eyes are the window to the soul and all that. And rule number 3. Every alien should have a uniform, and yes, I mean every alien. Even Goop. Continuing the previous rule, I also want to give all of them a uniform for a greater sense of unison. And it's also gonna be a fun challenge, trying to figure out how to make a uniform for every alien. You can dislike the green eyes and the uniforms, but these are my designs, these are my rules, so stay with me if you'd like to see how I'm supposed to put a uniform on a bunch of magma rocks. Whenever there's a superhero with different powers or modes, the first one tends to be super strength or speed, but in Ben 10 I decided to go with fire powers, which I think it's awesome. Heatblast has such an original look to him. It really sets the standard for how unique these aliens transformations can get. A lot of people seem to have a problem with robot looking aliens in the franchise, but I don't understand how they're less believable than the rock monster who's constantly on fire. Now actually talking about his design, this dude never misses. Not a single bad design in his whole career, so I'll be borrowing a bit from all of them. He has always had a fairly humanoid shape, but the thing that stands out for me are his big hands. So for my redesign, I'll be making his arms longer and his hands bigger, just to make him a little more alien. Same reason why I'm removing his lower jaw. UAF and OB use these pure black shadows on his rocks that I really like, but Classic is still my favorite. So I figure I could have a middle ground by not making them pure black. I know it takes away from the contrast, but I think it looks really good. Now it's time to put him in a uniform. I've seen a lot of artists give him pens over the years. I thought it looked silly in the past, but it has kinda grown on me. I'm not giving mine pens though. I decided to go with some kind of necklace. It had white tubes in one of my first sketches for the design. I don't remember why I didn't include them in the final version, but it still looks nice. Heatblast. Wildmutt is a victim of dog features in a lot of redesigns, and honestly, I can't blame them. He's known as the alien dog and has a lot of canine traits. But personally, for me, Wildmutt is the pure definition of the word animal. Sure, he has mutt on his name, but he's been moving like a monkey from day one. He stands like a gorilla, uses echolocation like a bat, and has gills like a fish. This blind orange quadruped is the whole animal kingdom. So I like to keep his ambiguousness. For my redesign, I just gave him a bigger hunchback, and to break out the orange, I gave him darker paws like dogs have. Yes, I just went on a rant about how I don't like when he's giving dog features just to end up giving him one. But since Wildmutt 10,000 has a lion tail, I figured I could give this 15 years old Bulpimancer a rowing tail. Now he also has a bit of feline on him. For his uniform, I'm of course not giving him that Omniverse dog collar. I like his classic shoulder blade thing. Diamondhead has always been a nightmare to draw, at least for me. His geometrical shapes are hard to get right, especially in different angles. For my Diamondhead redesign, I wanted to lean more in a night look, but also make him chunky, white, like a tank, to really show his endurance power through his appearance. So I gave him thick arms and a big diamond collar around his neck. I also pictured this design with a pointer head shape, one that looks like an elongated diamond from the top of his head, also getting rid of his flat face in the original for a triangular one. It reminds me of those Minecraft mods models. Finally, I added his Heroes United arm spikes just because I like them, but seriously, I had to use many rivers to make sure he's symmetrical. Regarding his uniform, I like the half and half classic uniform, but the Omniverse feet is really solid, so I took inspiration from that one and gave him a triangular shape on his chest because, you know, it looks like half a diamond.
Diamondhead.
Hands down, my favorite speedster in fiction. I love when he runs like a velociraptor. Not gonna lie, the post took me a couple attempts, but I'm happy with the result. I like the back spikes he has on the reboot, so I added those. I also took inspiration from the reboot uniform and from my favorite Accelerate design, 10,000. The white details look really nice and also help distinguish between the black from his uniform and the black from his body, because Kinecelerants are confusing. Their helmets are supposed to be natural, but some Kinecelerant kits have really weird shapes. Some are not even visible. And then Reboot says their feet spheres are not natural, but also they are. Like they find them on storms, but it's not part of their bodies. And their skin is blue, so like, are his tail stripes natural or a weird uniform construct? To clear out the confusion, for my redesign, I gave his body black a blue shine, while the uniform black has a red shine, so you can tell them apart. I like the tail stripes being natural, but I made them part of the uniform just to change things around.
Accelerate.
It's unfair how little use they give Raymatter in the show when he has so much potential. I always love characters that have to be strategic about their actions instead of going straight to the punches. I think his design is perfect, so a tiny redesign for a tiny boy. I just fused his classic and Omniverse designs. His uniform is mostly the Obi-Wan with the Oz colors. And that's it for him.
Raymatter.
Before Humongosaur was a thing, Ben had 4 arms. I know what I just said about preferring characters who have to think instead of punch, but I don't dislike 4 arms. I mean, he's not my favorite, but his design helps him stand out from the average strange hero. So I'm keeping the fold under his fierce set of eyes, the red barbs on his arms, and on his head in Omniverse, also the double pegs. For his uniform, I removed the black stripe and added some lines to the white parts similar to Benwolf. This is something you probably notice in Accelerate and Raymatter too. It's a neat detail to add, so here he is.
4 arms.
Another underused alien, victim of not really being that useful, especially compared to aliens that came later on. But I like Stinkfly, he's funny, he amuses me. I always like a visually distinct alien rather than one with the same or stronger powers. Just like Wildmutt is a representation of every animal, for me Stinkfly is like a fusion of multiple bugs. So I wanted to give him more of a caterpillar body. His legs always been kinda like a mantis, I made his eyes bigger, gave him a pointy chin, and big uneven teeth like Omniverse. I think it's a fun detail. To break out the multiple rings, I thought it could be nice to give him Reboot Stinkfly's orange wings. Other than that, he stays fairly unchanged. This bug has a solid design.
Stinkfly.
If Raymatter and Stinkfly are underused, Ripjaws is forgotten. Raymatter and Stinkfly got over 30 appearances each. Ripjaws got 15. Yes, he's not extremely useful on the land, but like, just write more underwater adventures. Create an ocean billion or empire so Ben has an excuse to use Ripjaws in more episodes. And it's not like he's completely useless out of water. His jaw has the strength to slide through steel. Now talking about his design, I love his classic head shape and sphere eyes, but his body is just undone. Omniverse body is a big upgrade with the monster proportions, so I went with those. His UAF design also exists, but I'm not really a fan. Just to acknowledge it, I added his weird triangular thing on the chest. Overall, I'm really proud of this design.
Ripjaws.
What can I say about Upgrade? He's perfect, I love him. His design is amazing, and his powers are cool. I've never seen a Technopad use tech like Upgrade does. His designs have also stayed consistently good. Omniverse decided to mount the Omnitrix to his eye, which I don't like because he looks cute emoting. But he theoretically should also be able to emote with the Omnitrix if he can shape-shift technology. he just chooses not to. For my redesign, I'm using the white suit because rule number 3, every alien should have a uniform, and like forearms. I'm also adding the Blix Wolfer lines to this one just for a little extra detail. I also try to change his proportions to barely resemble a penguin, just because. And finally, the reboot made upgrade purple, which I think looks neat, even though I prefer the green. But when looking for inspiration, I realized 5YL and Homeless One Art's designs used purple as the highlight of the black texture, which I thought was a really nice detail, so I included it in mine as well. But credits to them for the idea.
Upgrade!
Now, we finally reached the last of the original 10 aliens, Ghostfreak. Both of his designs have different approaches. No, I'm not counting UIF, he's practically the classic one with a green eye. So like the previous 10 designs, I like mine to be a middle ground. The most interesting part about Ghostfreak is probably the fact that an ectoonorized consciousness exists even in a few strands of DNA. So Ben's transformation is essentially an imprisoned scare. In Omniverse, they gave Ghostfreak chains to represent the ectoonorized consciousness being suppressed, which I think it's a neat idea, but I don't like it being literal chains, especially painted green. So for my redesign, his chains are his uniform. This prevents the ectoonorized DNA from becoming sentient and breaking free. So as long as those are intact, Ben should have no problems with scare, unless they're broken in the middle of a battle or something. I know the first rule was to not do alternate versions, but the opposite colors are one filter away, and when you look at that, the opposite of his green eye is purple. How cool is that?
Ghostfreak.
And that concludes my first Omnitrix playlist alien redesigns. With that last comment about Ghostfreak, you probably realize I'm making this as if I was making a new Ben 10 show. So let me know if you like more glimpses of a possible rewrite. Don't forget to follow me on my other socials, where I've been posting some of the second playlist aliens. And subscribe if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching.